Hi guys, in this video we set up the generate function, which will in the next video generate the actual dungeon itself. But right now what we're doing is we're going to get the data, and we're going to get the code in the game, and we're going to smush them together, and we're basically going to get them to meld and sort of talk to each other nicely, and we'll end up with something nice at the end of it, which will be very interesting. Uh, as interesting as it is watching a guy going and through code. But if you want to watch me and through code, that all starts after the fade. We have this so far where we have a room of some kind, and we can probably get different ones. We can actually go into code and change that from tilemap 0 to layer 1, and then we end up with, once it compiles, we end up with a totally different layout, which is, I don't know if you can see that there, but it's that one there, which is the second one. So it goes like 0, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what I need to do is I need to know, I've also added up two more at the bottom there. These two here. Yeah, these two here. Because I realized I needed like cul-de-sac ones. So now what I need to do is, in this video, it's going to be mostly coding, because I need to tidy this up, because I don't want this code in here. I want this to be a separate model thing up here, because I want to be able to create a map of room types and then do the rendering. So that's what I'm going to be doing just now. In this one, so which I've probably explained inside the intro, but I haven't done the intro yet. So anyway, okay, so I want to create a new folder in here, and I'm going to call this dungeon map. Yeah, let's call it dungeon map, and then inside here I'm going to create a dungeon. I'm just going to call it dungeon, because public class dungeon, and this is going to take in the dungeon JSON and then get the tile map model from it. So I'm going to take that there, and I'm going to say public dungeon string resource location, and that's Unity Engine, and this is that, and then we have our bar model there. So that is going to be our new one, and we're going to say bar. Actually, let's have it as just a dungeon up here. So we're going to have, so instead of tile map model, we'll have private dungeon, if I can spell dungeon, and we'll say dungeon equals new dungeon shapes, and that will do everything in there. And then what we can do is we can then figure this out here. So our types are going to be pretty much hard coded. So I'm going to have a new enumeration here, and this is going to be room type, and then it's going to be public enum room type, and that is going to be bottom, top, bottom, top. So I'm just copying all these values that I'm getting in here, and I'm going to add an attribute to them as well, so I can match them, or I can just probably just do Yeah, maybe I'll just, okay, let's do that in just a sec. So top, and then I've got top, left, right, four-way, top, sorry, that bottom, left, right, left, right, and finally left. So that's the room types that we're allowed. And so I think I need an attribute here. So this is going to be a what directions we can go in. So I also need add class direction or exit direction. And this is an enumeration as well, public enum. Because I need to know what directions we can go in. And I'm going to tie that directly to our enumeration. Because at some point we're going to have to make the rubber meet the road. And I think this is probably a good way to do it. Maybe that's us painted ourselves in a corner. But I do want to make this flags because we have more than one direction that we can have. So our directions are north, south, east, west, because that is the only directions that we can, if you look in there, that is the only directions that we can actually go in. You can see in the four-way, for example, it takes in all directions. So I can change that to all equals north or south or east or west. So I can actually bake that into the enumeration. So rather than having to do north, south, east, west, I can do these kind of things. I can also do left, right as well, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's good enough there. And then for this one here, I want to create an attribute against this. Do I want to create an attribute, or do I just want to mark it as being a, like, do I want to put the data here, or do I want to put it explicitly in a class? Let's put it inside the attribute, and then we can deal with it there. Okay, so bottom means that exit, or sorry, room shape, let's call it room shape. And the room shape is, now we need to figure out where bottom is actually start room 1. And the exit for that is exit direction south. So the only way we can go out of that room is heading south. Now we don't have a room shape attribute just yet, but we'll get one. So we're going to have to do a little bit of light reflection, which we've touched on before, but not too much. And then 2, and then this is 3. Now, where am I getting these values from? Well, if I go to here, you'll see that we have over on this side here, we have these layers. And so each one of these layers is called SR1, so that's SR1, which is south exit, SR2, which is north and south exit, and SR3, which is north exit. So SR3 is north, and this is exit direction dot north or south. So let's deal with this room shape just now. So let's do add class, and we'll call this room shape attribute. And we'll say public class that, and this must extend from attribute. So attribute is a very special class, and it means that you can actually put adorners or additional information for your class on other things. And we've seen it before, like for example, if I go to dungeon generator, you'll see that we have this attribute here, which is called require component. And if I go to here, the convention is to put attribute after it, but it's Unity, so they don't really follow conventions. for whatever reason. So we're going to keep with the convention, which is to put attribute against the end of there, but you've got require component and it takes in various types that it needs. You can have up to 3 types there, obviously. So we're going to take in public room shape attribute string, and then this is going to be layer name, and then it's going to be exit direction, directions allowed, and then we're going to have public string layer name get private set public string exit direction. Oh no, it's not. Exit direction exit, and then we're going to say layer name equals layer name exits equals directions allowed. Let's change that to exits. Okay, we don't need them, so that's that done there. So now when we go back to our room types, you'll see that we have, oh, I really should be using double quotes, and that's everywhere, so we need to figure that out in just a sec. And so room 3 is top, so that is also needs to get fixed. Okay, and let me just get rid of these because otherwise we're fixing these forever. Okay, and so top left right I think is TLR actually. So TLR, BLR, and 4-way, they all follow the same convention. So room shape, and then this is top left right, exit direction dot north, exit direction dot west, exit direction dot east. So that is the directions that this is allowed in. Room shape 4-way, exit direction, actually we can just do exit direction dot all, so that has all of the directions. Shape bottom left right, that'd be exit direction south, exit direction west, exit direction east, and then left and right I think is L and R. Yeah, LR, and then we get left and right. Okay. Room shape. Oh, try again. Room shape. Left and right. West. Exit direction. East. And then room shape. Right. Exit direction. That would be right would be east, and then left would be west. And so that's all the directions. So we're now tying our room type with the name of the room and what direction that it is traveling in. Okay, so now we've got our serialization there, and then we have our dungeon map. We also need to have we need how are we going to match this up? Okay, I want to match this to I want to have a room type to room type map. Let's call it room type map. Okay, and then I'm going to say public class that public class room type map. And so this class is going to act as a map between the type and what direction what direction are allowed and the name of it. So maybe I'm going to make this static. So I'm going to say public static do we don't have tuples in here, do we? No, we don't. Damn it. Okay. Right. Let's have a wee think here. Public static, and then I want the room type. I want that room type. I want to get the type from. What I want to do. I want to get the room type from the name of the layer. So this is what this class is going to do: is take the name of the layer and then return back the room type from it. So it's really the layer name map. But that means I need to have public struct, and then this is going to be room room with direction. I don't know. Public room type, public exit direction exits. So we'll just have that. So we'll say public static, and then it's going to be room with direction get from string layer name. Okay. And internally, do I want to make that static? I'm only going to have one instance of it. But yeah, I don't really need it to be static, but I do need it to have a map, so I need to have a private dictionary, and then that's going to map string to room with direction, rooms, and then public room type map, and then in here to do use reflection, and then we're going to do return rooms dot layer name. Okay, and that's all that's going to do. So this one here, this is going to do enum.get values type of room type are values equals that. Okay, and then for each value we're going to cycle through it. We're going to get that custom attribute, this custom attribute here, and then we're going to add that to the map. And that's going to make it easier so that when we get a layer in from memory, we know exactly, we get a layer in from the disk, we know exactly how we can map that and what type it is, what direction it's got, and all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, we could have, I think we probably could do it in here as well. So, in fact, maybe we can do it in here. Maybe we don't need to do this. Let's think about this. Okay. So this is our layer here. So if I highlight this one here, I've got custom properties. I wonder if I can add a custom property. Custom property. Okay. Maybe I can add exits. Maybe I can add an exit and just have that as 0, 1, 2, 3, and then maybe I don't need to have it as that. Well, let's leave it as it is just now. Maybe there's an easier way to do it than like through data rather than doing this. Let's do that as for future expansion. For now, we're just going to use reflection inside here. So now what we need to do is for each var room type in values. We can actually cast it to that object, so we can actually say room type like that. So now we know that it's this type, and then we can say room type dot get can we get the custom? I'm pretty sure we can get the custom attribute from here. Hang on a sec. Enum get this seems a little bit overkill, but okay, let's go and grab it. So what we would do then is we would then say var field equals type of room type dot get field, and then the name of the field, which would be room type dot toString, I guess. And then we would then say field dot get custom attributes, type of room shape attribute, first or default, var that would be room shape. Actually, let's do room shape attribute equals field, type of false. What? Can I do that? Okay, and then you want to do at the very end there as room shape attribute. This is where reflection gets a little bit messy. So if I just expand this a little bit here. So what I'm trying to do is, I'll just blot that bit out at the end there, but I'm trying to get the attribute that is associated with the room type. So I want to get access to the data that's in here because I want to marry this, with the type of room shape that we've got. So these are the room shapes that we have, which is bottom, top, all that kind of stuff. And then associate that with the directions that we have. Now, we probably don't need this. So this is why I think it's a bit overkill, but it might be handy things to have. But yeah, this results in this horrible line here, but we are where we are. So our room shape is this. So now all we need to do is var room with dir equals new room with direction. Room with dir dot, oh, I think I can do, oh no, maybe I can't because it's Unity. Dot exits equals room shape dot exits room with dir dot room type equals room shape dot type. Oh no, it would be this thing. So it would be room type, and then I would do rooms room shape dot layer name equals room with dir. Okay, so I'm going to set a breakpoint here. So we have room type map, dungeon generator, dungeon. Okay, so now we have our room type map equals new room type map. So that'll create an instance of it anyway. So we can test this, and then And then we can run through this and then hopefully it won't blow up in our faces. Fingers crossed. No guarantees. Well, didn't like that. Oh yeah, okay, right, let's get rid of all of this just now. Okay, and then I'll attach the Unity, and so our breakpoint should hit when we run the game. And it did not, because we got a null exception. Oh, I know why. Let's create a new dictionary here, shall we? Okay, so I'll go back and let it compile. I need to stop it. Attach. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we do that gives us 9, so that gives us all our values there. So there's our field, room type bottom. Okay. We have our room shape attribute. So SR1. Exits are south. And so on. So this looks like it's going to go through here. I'm going to set a breakpoint on our dungeon so that it hits there. So now we should have our room with direction. So now we can match our layers with these values here. So when we get to do the actual generation, we know what exits are possible, where we can flow with the dungeon, and then once we've done that, we can then like create a random dungeon, basically. Okay. We also need to figure out how. Well, okay, we don't. Well, we do need to know. Like when we create the graph of the dungeon, we need to know what exits have been covered. So we'll need to remember that when we do it. Otherwise, we're going to end up having to like overwrite things, and it's going to get a bit messy. All right. Okay. So that's our dungeon map between what we have in our tiled map editor format thing, this thing over here. So what we have here and what we have in the game. So we have these things mapped to the room types. So that's a good thing. Now, or rather, we have a way to get that mapping. So now when we read this in from here, we can then say, we can then map these to those shapes, which means we can then draw a particular type of room, which is what we're going to be able to do in just a sec. So, all right. So what I want to do in here now is I want to have public. I have the 9 types of rooms. So I want to say public. No, I don't want private. Dictionary. And then I want a room type. And then I want that to map to a I want room data, and I want another thing in here. So I want some other class in here. So my other class is going to contain, what's it going to contain? It is going to contain the data itself, so the data for the tiles, the exits, layer name? Who knows? Okay, let's do that then. So we need add class, and then so this other class is going to be our let's call it dungeon room. Do we have dungeon room? No, we haven't. We've got dungeon room. Okay, so that's going to be public. So our public dungeon room is going to contain the data for the tiles. So that's going to be public int room shape. We call it room shape. Private set. It's going to contain the exits. Public exits direction exits. Set public string layer name. We don't need the layer name, but it might be handy to have for debugging or whatever. So it stays in. Dungeon room string layer name. Exit direction exits. And then we want our room shape. So that will be int room shape. So public room shape equals room shape. Exits equals exits. And layer name equals layer name. Okay, so that's our dungeon room. So then we have our dungeon room here. Rooms equals new. Dungeon rooms. We really want to just enumerate through these, don't we? We don't want to... well, okay, we can get it from there, that's fine. Let's just get it from there. Okay, so we can do for each, what do we have? Room type map dot, no it's not, tilemap model dot layers, so that's our layers. So that's for each of our dungeon model in layers. So that's a terribly badly named thing. It should just be a layer model, but maybe we can fix that. Yeah, maybe we can fix that. Let's fix that. And it's called tilemap model there. Then it doesn't matter right now. So for each one of these, we're going to say var data equals room type map dot get from dungeon model dot layer name. So that's the name of the layer. And so that now we have that information and we need to put it inside here. So we're going to do rooms and then that's going to be data dot room type equals new dungeon room, and then it's going to be the layer name, so dungeon model dot name data dot exits, and then it is going to be data dot dungeon model dot data. All right, okay, and then up here we have public dungeon room get room, and it's going to be room type return rooms room type. So this is us mapping complete. So we've mapped everything. We've mapped our data to the code, and now inside the code we can then get any room we want. So if we go back to, where are we? our dungeon generator, which is incredibly badly named, but never mind. So instead of var blocks equals that, we can now say equals dungeon.get room, and then what type of room do you want? Let's have a four-way. So let's have the four-way room. So now we have our blocks there. And I can undo that. Equals blocks, blah, 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 get room dot room shape. Okay, so that's the room shape there. So room shape is our blocks. So now, running the game, fingers crossed I've crossed all the I's and dotted all the T's. I'm sure that's right. We should have a 4-exit room. And we do have a 4-exit room, which is perfect because this is exactly what we wanted. So we want a 4-exit room in our game. So that is good then. So now that we have our 4-exit room, you can see that it all works, like all the collisions and everything work. You can go outside the room, obviously, because we haven't stopped you from doing that, and the enemies still work, and all this. And it's starting to feel a lot like a roguelike. It's starting to feel good. So now, so that's us drawing one room. But what we actually want to do is we want to draw many rooms. And that's going to be a little bit trickier. So that's our dungeon. Now, do we want to have that inside this class, or do we want it inside this class here? Because this class here should probably just get the blocks. So we should be adding blocks to there, and then getting the blocks back. So we should be getting back a list of tiles in here. So maybe we should take this out and not have our four-way, like not have this code in here, because I think this is bad, because this class here should only be rendering things out to the screen. It shouldn't have to worry about where it's getting that data from. So really it should be something like this. Let's do for each var well, maybe not even for each. Let's do var yeah, okay. Well, I guess we need to map that to that. So that's going to be a tuple. So that's going to be var tiles equals dungeon dot generate. I think that's what we want to do. We want to generate the dungeon, and that's what we do. For each var tile in tiles, so we obviously haven't done a generate method yet, which is going to be this. We are going to say tilemap dot set tile, and it's going to be tile dot position tiles tile dot id. Okay. And that's all we really want to have inside this class. This class shouldn't really be doing anything else. It should be minimal amount of work involved in this class. So this is the render tiles. This is the block tiles that it needs to have. This is how it generates it, and this is where we place those block tiles. And then the rest of this stuff shouldn't be there. And at the very end, obviously, we need to add the collider because you know that's how we roll in the Shire. Okay. Just making sure I'm still recording here. Okay. So let's make this generate here. So let's take this out And we're just going to put this in as a placeholder for this video, and then we'll fill it in obviously with actual data in the next one. So we got public, and this is going to be I enumerable, tile with, what is this going to be, dungeon tile, let's call it dungeon tile, generate, and so we'll do that, get room, and this obviously we need to not have, but we also need to have a dungeon tile here, so we'll do add class, and then it's going to be dungeon tile, public class, public vector 3 int, I think it is, vector 3 int, yeah, position, get private set, public int tile ID, get private set, public dungeon tile, int x, int y, int block tile ID. Position equals new, x, y, 0, tile ID equals tile ID. Okay, dungeon tile, blah, 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 blah. And so this is going to be dungeon tile, dungeon tile, okay, tiles.add, oh yeah, new dungeon tile, yeah, okay, and so we're going to have to do some crazy stuff in here in the next video, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Tiles, tile ID, set tile ID, tiles. Oh yeah, tile dot tile ID. Tiles, tile ID. Oh, that's tiles. Oh, what did I call it? Tiles. Oh, right, okay. Let's call it blocks here. Blocks. Blocks. And let's call it block. Let's go block. Tiles. Block tile ID. And let's change that to ID as well while we're here. Let's just call it ID. ID, 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 and okay, and then we can get rid of all of this except for the last bit there. So we got it. We have to add that collider. If we don't add the collider afterwards, then nothing collides, and it all goes wrong. Okay, so there is our 4 exits, and we can change that anytime. We just go into the code and go to our dungeon. So this is our dungeon generator. So we have our generate function there, and then instead of changing it to 4, we have it as left right. And if we go back in, let it compile, we now have a left right exit. So you can see that we can now generate any value of room that we have, which is any one of these things, and we've merged our data and our code together so that everything's working perfectly-ish. So the next step is to get this here to actually generate more than one screen of data. So we need to figure that bit out. So that's the next steps. Well, there we go. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series. I was a bit I wasn't particularly happy about this section, but I'm getting quite excited about it. And I hope that's kind of coming across the video. If I'm not talking as much as I normally do in these videos, it's because this is new territory for me and I don't really know what to say. So I apologize for that, but there you go. If you like these videos, I have plenty more you can watch. But feel free to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on which way you feel. If you there's a big red button there that allows you to subscribe, and you can hit the notification icon and all that kind of good stuff. But feel free to share with your friends and colleagues and all that kind of stuff as well through social media, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And you can find me on social media at Codehoose, CODEHOOSE, on Twitter. And I've also got a Facebook page as well, which I think is linked in the show notes below. So anyway, until next time, have a great coding day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.